Hi everyone, it's Maureen again. I am coming to you once again from in front of the big red wall at the studio, Creative Wedding Solutions, and I wanted to do a video on how to know if you actually need a wedding planner. I have been asked by many people, so I thought I'd just give you a few points to consider and to think about. Of course, and everything varies. Sometimes it may seem obvious that you fall in the category of people who don't need a wedding planner, but you might actually be in a situation where that does not agree with that assessment at the time, in which case you make an informed decision based on what your situation, your current situation is. So these are just guidelines. They're just so that you can have a way to sort of think about it and see. Like, I personally don't think that all brides or all couples need a wedding planner. There are people that I seriously think do not need a wedding planner and that I would highly recommend do not get a wedding planner. So I will give you a list of bullet points in that regard as well. So I'm going to start with how to know if you really need a wedding planner. So this is the category of people who are like, who actually are more likely going to need the help of a wedding planner in some capacity. It may or may not, it may be in a full capacity or in a very, in a partial capacity, but chances are if you fall under these categories, then you probably will need some help with a wedding planner, if that makes any sense. Okay, here we go. The first group of people that most likely need the help of a wedding planner are people who have very demanding and busy jobs. If you are a physician or a lawyer or any kind of job that requires a lot of your time, that's in most cases probably a no-brainer. You need a wedding planner. You are most likely going to need a wedding planner. And the reason for it is because it's just too much time to take on something else that requires that much time and attention. So unless you want a second job, you probably want to consider enlisting the help of a wedding planner. The second group of people is if you have a tendency to get overwhelmed with details and multitasking. If you are the kind of person who basically prefers not to multitask, you are most likely the kind of person that will benefit from having a wedding planner if you're planning a wedding. And the reason for it is because wedding planning involves a ton of multitasking, and there's way too many things to keep track of, and many of them overlap in order to actually have everything finished at about the same time. So that would be something that would be helpful to you if you fall in that category. If you prefer to focus only on one thing at a time, and this is sort of related, if you're the kind of person who's just kind of like, who's very got tunnel vision and just likes to zero in on one thing and is kind of like, I am happy if you give me one task and give me my time to focus on it, I will do it exceptionally well. If you are that kind of person, you will probably need the help of a wedding planner because it is very rare that you will have enough time in your planning journey to just focus only on one thing at a time. And given the amount of detail that can come with these projects and the things that you have to do, it can get overwhelming pretty quickly. If you have trouble managing your time, so there are people who are excellent at managing time, meaning they do not have trouble with being on time, they are never late, and they know how to schedule their multiple things, and they can somehow get everything in, within the time that they have. If you are not one of those people, you are going to need a wedding planner. Reason being, you need the help. You need the help of somebody to keep you on track, because then otherwise what happens is you fall back in your schedule, and this is technically neither here nor there, except for the fact that it basically backs you up eventually, and so that's how people end up in this crazy rush towards the end. As the closer the wedding comes, then the more stuff they have to do. It's not because there's just more stuff to do. It's really because they're not able to manage their time well, and so they have not completed the number of the tasks that they need to complete within the amount of time that they needed to complete them. So they're now backed up, and so they have to play catch up, but that just becomes a lot of work, and it can be very overwhelming and unpleasant for many people. So if you are one of those people who do not have a good track record with managing your time, yes, you should consider hiring a wedding planner or, getting help in that regard. If you have no idea where to start when you think of planning a wedding, so when you're thinking, oh yeah, we're engaged and we're planning a wedding, and you just go blank, if you are one of those people who just feels like, I don't even know where a person starts to actually do this. If you feel like that when you think about planning a wedding, yeah, you should go check out a wedding planner, because they will help you to get, at the very least, they'll help you to get started. So even if you don't want to hire them for a full-time, sort of a thing, which is a total option, you should at least have consultations with a wedding planner who would be able to help you with starting and pointing you in the right direction. If you are indecisive, you will need the help of a wedding planner, because the whole of this planning process involves making many, many, many decisions, some of which are big decisions, some of which are not. And of course, this is relative to what it is, the way you're thinking of it. In the whole scheme of things, it's not, really the end of the world. It's just a wedding. So let's be honest. But given how you're thinking of it, there are certain things that are big decisions, and some things are not that big decisions. But the bottom line is they are all decisions that need to be made, and they cannot be made by anyone but you. So if you have trouble being decisive, and you will spend an exceptionally long amount of time deliberating about what decision to make about something, you will need the help. You should enlist the help of a wedding planner, because they will help you to, do you know what I mean, cut through the distractions that otherwise would get in the way of you making a decision on time. Many a time I've had clients who have come to me and they have completely no idea what it is that they want. They're just kind of like, yeah, we got engaged, we are planning a wedding, and I'm like, so what do you envision? Do you have any idea what you would like your wedding to look like? And they're like, no, nothing at all. If you're one of those people, it will help you to have a wedding planner, because one of the things that wedding planners do is that they help you to actually narrow down your options and focus on exactly what it is that you want. So if you are the kind of person who does not like taking on large projects, meaning that when you think of a large project, you just feel like, ugh, I have no interest in doing that, then you are probably the kind of person who will benefit from hiring a wedding planner, because everybody knows that planning a wedding is a humongous project. So yeah, I mean, think about it from that perspective. If in everyday life you think the smaller the project, the better, and you have no interest in tackling large projects on a regular basis, you're not likely going to enjoy tackling this particular project. So I recommend that you consider hiring somebody who enjoys doing that. Wedding planners do that. And then, of course, there's the category of people who just couldn't be bothered. If you're one of those people who is just kind of like when people ask you, hey, what are you planning for your wedding? And you're just kind of like, whatever. If you're one of those people, you're not likely to enjoy the rigmarole of actually planning a wedding. Do you know, it just becomes this annoyance and this inconvenience that you have to deal with. So if you're one of those people, and there are such people, then yes, you should give yourself the permission to actually hire a wedding planner, because they love doing that. Wedding planners, we love planning weddings. So if you, in fact, many times you are like the dream client. If you're the client who's like, I don't really care, I'm cool with whatever, you are like a dream client for a wedding planner, because that means that they can do all sorts of really cool and fun, interesting things. And you just, are okay with it. So if you're in that category, definitely go for a wedding planner. You will enjoy the wedding planning process better. You will still have to make decisions more than likely, unless, of course, you give that away to the planner as well, which, I don't know, some people do. You will still have to make some decisions. You'll be involved in some kind of way, but it's not nearly the same amount of involvement you would have if you were doing all the work yourself, because that just means you're on the whole entire time. Okay. If you fall into the category of people who want an elaborate wedding, large and elaborate, you absolutely should consider hiring a wedding planner, because you don't want to be the person that everybody needs to come to get all the details for that day to come together. That is not advisable, because one, it's a lot of work. Two, on the day of, you are basically the point person because you know everything about your wedding more than anybody else. And ideally what you want is you want to have somebody else knowing everything about your wedding so well that they don't need to be calling you. By they, I mean no vendors need to be calling you and saying, hey, where should we do this? Or some little hitch went on, or whatever it is that may or may not happen that day. Where did you put that other thing? And what did you say you wanted to do this? You don't want that. And so because of that, and because of the logistics that are involved, yes, if you're having a large, elaborate kind of a wedding, you most likely will need the help of a wedding planner. And I would recommend that you do, because it will save you a lot of trouble and headache. As the days get closer, and on the day of the wedding. And then it's the same thing. This is similar, but if you're having an event that includes a lot of details, this is specifically for personalization of your wedding. This is, I know this very well because this is what we do. I mean, we work with custom weddings, which means that everything is so detailed and like sort of made to fit our clients. And so what that means is if you want a wedding like that, you definitely want to consider having a wedding planner, because it's the same problem that the person with a large wedding has. There are too many details for you to want to manage throughout the process of the planning and till the day of the wedding and on the day of the wedding. So you absolutely will benefit from having somebody else doing all that heavy lifting so that you can just relax and do whatever it is that you want to do. And that may be difficult if you're the kind of person who actually has the ability to pull it off. But even then, you will be a much happier bride if you just let somebody else do it. Okay. Let's see, we're coming to the end of this list. The last category I'm going to talk about is an interesting one, and this is because it's counterintuitive. If you don't know how to get the kind of event that you want within the budget that you want. Say, for example, you're working with like $10,000, but you have something specific in mind that you would like to have, and you have no idea how you're going to achieve that event with the amount that you have, because because it's not a lot. You will benefit from hiring a planner, because they know a lot of they know a lot of things that you don't necessarily know. Like they know how to adjust things cost-wise. They know how to give you a similar thing for, like if you say you saw this design somewhere and you really like it, but it's way out of your price range, if they're a good planner and they are a good fit for you, they will know how to help you to give you what it is that you want within the budget that you. So here is a good way to measure. If you want to know which category you fall into, if every time you think about planning your wedding, you have negative feelings, like you feel uncomfortable, you feel anxiety-ridden, or feel overwhelmed, or feel confused, or scared, or, you know what I mean? Frustrated, any of that stuff. If you feel negative feelings when you actually think about planning your wedding, then you should consider that is an indication that you need help. And of course, there's also always the big caveat here, which is make sure that the planner that you pick when you decide to go with someone, make sure that they're actually a good fit for you. And I will make a video about how to pick a wedding planner that's a good fit for you. But for now, this is just a place for you to start. And I hope that this will be helpful. Okay, so I think that's it for now. All right, people, I wish you, as always, happy planning, and don't forget to be free to be you, and I will talk to you soon. Peace.